Hello plant people, how are you guys doing today? If you're new around here, my name's Ashley. I like to take science and apply it to all things plants, and today's video we're going to be talking about why I'm choosing to purchase my seeds for 2023 growing season already, how I'm going to store those seeds long term, and how you also can purchase yours early and then store them into the spring, things to look for in actual seeds you're purchasing, as well as what to look for in containers you're choosing to save them in. So let's get into it. So first off, the reason why I'm choosing to actually save or purchase seeds now is because there's a potential for some food insecurity, mostly because people are not going to be able to afford said food. And anytime historically when we've had food insecurity, a whole bunch of people suddenly become interested in gardening. That's not an issue. I'm actually pretty comfortable with that happening. However, I don't want it to affect me personally. So I chose to purchase my seeds now rather than later when the rush is on. Now, despite popular belief, gardening is a great way to save cash. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment, and I actually encourage a majority of new gardeners to just start on a lawn or an old existing flower bed rather than investing in new compost and containers and you name it. You can make a garden work almost anywhere, and there's a ton of videos on this channel to help you out with that. So because of that, I do think a lot of people are going to choose to garden in order to feed themselves, their families, and fill the fridge. Now, one key when it comes to gardening is variety, and I don't mean picking the right variety, I mean having a large variety grown. The reason for this is because if you have a drought year, or if you have a year that's particularly wet, a year that's particularly cold, a year that's particularly warm, you name it, if you have a larger variety of, say, tomatoes, for example, then you have a higher likelihood of getting a crop. So I personally don't like to plant just one form of tomato. I like to plant a variety, at least 5 different types, to ensure that I get a harvest and something that I can actually preserve in the fall. So when you're choosing what crops you want to grow or what seeds you want to get, go for variety. Go for a minimum of 2 different types within the same family. So when I say this, I mean, if you want to get the Winter's Keepers beets, which are like the really big ones that I showed over on Nate's channel, or the ones that you saw on this channel, then get those, but also get a different variety as well. So I did 2 different types this year. The Winter's Keepers always do very well for me, but just in case they didn't, I had 2 that were planted. The same thing goes for carrots. The potatoes I grew, I went with 2 different varieties. You saw that. I did the Yukons and then the Reds. You can also do this with tomatoes. Now, tomatoes, I go a little bit heavier. I do about 5 different varieties. Peppers, I do about 3 to 4 different varieties. Pumpkins, I do at least 2, if not 3. Spaghetti squash, I only do 1 because they're kind of a fail-safe. But peas, beans are another ones that I do a variety on. So you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. Purchase this year is kind of contained within these 2 boxes. What I got was a number of different things, and the reason why I purchased this is because I'm scared I'm going to lose that availability to variety, as well as I am indoor gardening this year, so I need seeds to be able to do that. So it's not completely selfish in the sense that I'm stockpiling for spring. It's just a little bit selfish. So I have a ton of different seed packets here. I can do a separate video on kind of what the haul looks like, but I did get them all from West Coast Seeds, and there's a reason for it, I promise. So you're probably thinking the reason why you went with West Coast Seed, Ashley, is because you're an affiliate of them. Yes, that is one reason. But the second reason actually comes down to germination rates. I've had not so great luck with we're not gonna say what brand this is, but I've had not so great luck when it comes to germination out of the grocery store or the Home Depot or the greenhouse seeds. And I think it may be because they're using their old stock from last year to sell in the present year you're purchasing in. With West Coast, I find I'm getting exactly what I paid for. I'm getting this year's seeds. And the reason for that is because they sell out. They sell out every single year. So they have to collect more seeds every single year to restock their inventory. So if I know I'm getting fresh seeds and I combine that with proven germination percentages, it's a fail-safe in my books. So if we look at West Coast Seeds, we can see on the bottom of every single corner, there's a germination percentage, a likelihood of germination, the number of seeds and all that fun stuff. This is important. This germ percent being over 80 is important. This means if you store these properly, you will have very good germination rates for a year to 5 years, depending on the seed that you collected. The exception to this is if you get pelletized seeds. Have I done a video on this? I actually don't know, but pelletized seeds need to be used within the season you're purchasing them in. So there is no pelletized seed in my new order. It's just straight seed across. Okay. So we know that there's probably a lot of new gardeners coming on board, so we need to purchase the seed now. We know we need variety to ensure that if one variety fails, the other variety is going to back us up. And we know we have to purchase seed that's new and fresh, combined with a germination rate percentage over 80. Got that all down pat. But how do we store these if we choose to purchase them earlier and get ahead of the curve? And this actually doesn't have to be fancy. I'm personally not fancy about this. However, we can bring science into how to best store these seeds. So I actually store my seeds in cardboard boxes. Yes, cardboard boxes. Very sophisticated, I know, but the reason for that is because they're dry, they allow for a lot of airflow, and there's no chance, or there's a low chance of them containing humidity. If you choose to store your seeds in plastic, whether that be a plastic bag or those really fancy tackle box looking things that people are storing their seeds in, you want to make sure if you're seed saving in particular, the seeds you're about to put into storage are bone dry. The reason for this is seeds need some moisture, ambient moisture, around 30 to, you could go upwards of like 80%, but the higher the moisture, the faster the inside, or the germ, as we like to call it, begins to decay through moisture. There's a ton of starches inside of seeds, and when those enzymes get some moisture and the starch gets some moisture, the seeds actually begin to become active despite not looking like they are. So that will actually decrease your germination rates because you're eating at those stores. Those enzymes are eating at those stores in those seeds, in just really basic terms. So if we're able to keep them in a dry container, cardboard in this case, we can hopefully prevent that. Now, the second thing that you can do that doesn't necessarily need to be done is keep them in a cool space. Again, those enzymes work well in heat or warm temperatures. And so because of that, putting them in a cold room, putting them in the fridge, putting them in the freezer in some cases will all help. However, again, you want to make sure that moisture is low, and fridges and freezers can have some moisture that can get higher, especially if the power goes out. So I don't store mine in a fridge or freezer because I know I'm going to use them very, very quickly. But if you have a survival seed kit, or you have seeds that you intend to store for more than an entire season, say 2-3 years, those you may want to actually place in a cold storage. These are actually just going to go into my basement in a nice dark, cold area, cooler area than this beautiful plant room. But regardless, that's how I'm going to choose to store these seeds into the new year. So I don't know. You guys have to let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm crazy for already beginning to store my seeds, or already beginning to bulk up on my seed storage. But I personally am not willing to sacrifice variety or what I like. Because everyone's just decided to go grab seeds this year. With that being said, I do have more seed orders that are going in the future, but I'm pretty well stocked up on everything I need. The only things I'm technically missing would be like seed potatoes, but then again, I mean, who knows? I could have a ton left over for spring this year. It depends on how much potato we eat over the winter. But regardless, I hope this helps you guys out in understanding when to purchase your seeds or why you should purchase your seeds earlier, along with choosing variety over just buying a ton of one type. And that is very, very important when it comes to ensuring a good crop. I know many of you have spoken in the past about how you got a poor yield off your carrots or a poor yield off your beets. And I want to encourage you to change things up and get different varieties. Find the variety that works best in your little microclimate, in your front yard or your backyard, wherever you're gardening, and then go forward from that. Choose ones in the same family. Choose ones that kind of have similar characteristics, growing habits to those that did do well in your environment. Have a wonderful, cold Saturday, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Today's video sponsor is Ketonic, 100% organic soil amendment sourced from sustainable peat. It's OMRI listed and certified by EcoCert Canada. Ketonic helps your garden grow and thrive by promoting microbial activity and naturally replenishing the soil health. Get 15% off your bottle of Ketonic with the discount code in the description.